Tom is we call him the government contracting ninja, and he's going to talk just about his 35 years experience in this area. Tom was Army strong. He was a major, which is one thing, Tom, I don't understand. I was in the Army too, and I only got up to first lieutenant. I'm really not quite sure how that happened, but in any event, Tom was going to tell us basically some nuts and bolts about how you deal with the government contracting. So I'm going to turn it over to my friend Tom.
Notice in my title slide right here, this is a virtual networking conference. And folks, we need to get comfortable with this. So your elevator speeches and virtual capability statements are going to be a plus. But let's get started. You know, I think about the average firm that I've talked to over the years. They're in search of a government contract. They're watching Beta SAM. That's the new term, used to be Fed Biz Ops, for the next opportunity. They become frustrated because of a lack of solid opportunities and short suspenses. And then they're eager to respond to anything, good or bad. And many times if I tell someone, let's think about that, is that really a good solicitation? Then it becomes a red flag and they charge it like a bull and they're determined to submit it. And then when they lose, and it took time and money, then they're upset. So I'm going to give you some keys to the kingdom. One of the things you need to do to get ready is update your database registration, whether it's in SAM or your social economic certifications. And it sounds like a commercial to get ready for the new year. It is. But you know what? Your competition knows as much about you as you do. And they're watching to see if you don't dot an I or cross a T. And that way, they can eat cheese on you or bring it to the government's attention. So make sure your stuff is together. You want to make sure to start your research that you're focused using your primary NAICS code. Then we're going to talk about analyzing an agency, that looking for their history, procedures, and we can think about and identify potential teaming partners. So let's apply some focused market research. So I want you to look at focused market research was the targeted approach. Now this animal, this eagle, came from above and followed that fish all the way across the lake or stream and then swooped down at the last minute. That's what we're going to talk about in the presentation today. So in refocus, find your target agency, not your heart, not your gut. We're going to look for some empirical data. Now I want you to circle this part on the slide when you get it, or write it down now, because this is money. You're going to go to a site called usaspending.gov. You will do an award search. And you're going to do an advanced on the tab and then look at the filters on the left. So you need to seek to understand their mission and how your product or service may solve their problems. One of the first things you want to do is look at a procurement forecast for that business. You can seek to present a capability and capacity briefing of your firm, and you can review your agency's sources sought notices in Beta SAM. Now, let me tell you why that's important. That's backdooring into information and the agency's pain points. So if you go to Beta SAM and you look under the filters, contract opportunities, and look under the filters, you'll see looking at sources sought. Well, read them. See what their pain points are. See what is causing them problems because they're seeking help. So you can identify the needs, their social economic focus, and pain points of an agency. And then we're going to establish contact with the target agency. So we're going to look for agency spend by multiple categories. We're going to look by NAICS codes. We're going to look by fiscal year, product or service or some federal supply codes and other filters. And we're going to do it. I'm going to give you an example. We're going to look at NAICS code 561612, which is the security guard and security forces in fiscal year 2020, which just ended. And we're going to look for all contracts. So I'm going to ask you to help look for spending trends for your industry, looking at spending at usaspending.gov. And then also, folks, I encourage you to look at blogs, articles, and professional association information to keep you on track. Identify the capabilities and the capacity of your firm, your strengths, whether it's technical, whether it's expertise, whether it's certification. But also, I want you to make another category. What are your weaknesses? You're not going to advertise those to the world, but you are going to have them in your mind so you can constantly be working to improve them. So let's see what happens. And then you capture that information for your capability statement. So lo and behold, I went to usaspending.gov and I put on the NAICS code and on my filters and just hit submit. 3 strokes. So the Department of State was the #1 spender or buyer for security guard and forces. The #2 was the Department of Homeland Security. They came in and spent over $200 million, followed by Justice, followed by DOD, and so on down. These are the top 10 agencies. So if you're a vendor looking to sell, this is what we mean by know your target audience. So that's some great information that you have to go forward. So I chose, we're going to look at the Department of Homeland Security. Okay, I just chose them because they're within the United States, and it's #2, and 200 million plus is not a bad spend target. So now, what does agency research look like? I'm going to look at the Department of Homeland Security. You need to look at their mission. You got to know their mission and their history, because the people that work for that organization, they're proud of it. They know that. So you should as well. And then, even though it may be sometimes tedious, read their news releases. Folks, you can find out a whole lot by reading the mail. So take the time and get up to speed and catch up with their news releases. And a lot of times, that's one of the first things you see on a government website. Now, I'm just looking for key thoughts and terms here, and it's called How to Do Business with Them. Well, that's me. How do I do business with them? We'll look at the Office of Small and Disadvantaged, and that's going to start you down the rabbit trail. So let's look at Homeland Security. So I went and I looked at their Homeland Security homepage. Notice I just clipped off the categories, but look at the topics that are there. We have mission, organization, leadership. So there you go. We want to read about the mission. Their mission is to protect the borders of our country, our infrastructure, and our values. So there's the mission for you. You could click and read that. But I would also go down, how do I do business with the Department of Homeland Security? That's exactly what I need to know. And then I have contact us. And folks, I know you're rolling your eyeballs because I can hear them. Tom, I've called all these government agencies. I've sent an email. They don't respond. Sometimes you got to be persistent. But in this day and age, email is best. And if you were to look under organization, or look under contact us, eventually you're going to get a response. So stay with me on this, but that was all found on the homepage of Homeland Security. Now, I clicked on how to do business with Homeland Security, and I took me to the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business. Well, lo and behold, look at the topics that they have listed, from mentor protege to the small business staff, small business specialist. And it gave you contact information. It gave you contact for specialties. But look at this next one here. And isn't this webinar timely? Small business vendor outreach sessions. So you can go in, schedule a session with them, send in your information, and they'll set up the meeting, and you can virtually talk to them. And they've also got tips on how to organize their information, what they're looking for, what you can present. So before you just go and run off and say, oh, Tom, that's great. I'm going to tell my boss I had an audience with DHA today. And you do a Zoom, but you didn't think about what you were going to ask them, or you didn't think about what you're wanting to know. So think about and do your research, but then be prepared. Now, one of the things that I always would like to encourage folks to do is read the FAQs any place you go, especially on the government sites, because you're going to find out a wealth of knowledge and information. Go and learn from them, because if they've put it in the frequently asked questions, then it must show up frequently. So now we've got some spots to actually go and look and find out about. Now, folks, right underneath here, we did operational support. Agency is high level, but look at the USCIS, Customs, Citizens and Immigration Services, Customs and Border Patrol, Cybersecurity. All of those are sub-agencies that you can do business with. But this is what I found out in my research. So looking ahead, develop a plan. Gotcha, Tom. Establish a viable business relationship. Look for similarly situated firms. And why? Because you want firms that look like you, woman-owned, veteran-owned, hubs-owned, for compliance with a limitation on subcontracting clause. Identify what you bring to the table: expertise, financial stability, social economic designation. Then you can check out this database, Dynamic Small Business Data Search, to find firms that are similar to you to start collecting the data. So a little bit of lanyard. We've talked about updating your registration. We've talked about update or obtain your social economic. But sit by yourself and get a requirements list for the ideal teaming partner. Are you looking for a track record? You're looking for financial solvency. Look for certifications that mirror yours, technical expertise, character. These are some key words that you can use for search and all that information that I just said. I want you to think about it. How does my product or service benefit the government customer? Indicators of a good teaming partner, and develop a plan to identify and responding to agency solicitations. So festina lente, for all y'all out there, make haste slowly. But remember, you've got a lot of information today. Eat the elephant one bite at a time. It takes time and attention to detail. So the future webinars that are coming up are market research. We're going to have the topics on regulatory compliance. We're looking at solicitation response, as well as contract award and administration. So folks, I hope you enjoyed it. I've given you an awful lot. I'm going to stop. I've got the hook coming out to me right now, and I'm going to turn it back to Mike Gorby.
Hey, Tom, that was great. Let me throw a question out there at you that some of our folks out there might be thinking about, especially the ones that are kind of small in the small business. They want to get into government contracting. They're concerned about having the bandwidth, the bench to be able to do it. And you mentioned teaming agreements, teaming up. Can you just give us a very short explanation on what you mean by a teaming agreement in the context of government contracting?
Sure, Mike. Teaming agreement is expanding your capacity or your capability. And if you have 2 dump trucks and you've identified another firm that's a veteran just like yourself and he has 5, why not team and then say to the government, together we can meet your requirements. So you're always looking to add to or supplement your expertise through a teaming agreement or a prime sub relationship. Okay.
And one last question: when you leave us with a thought with respect to one kind of thought that a small business that wants to get into government contracting, what's the most important thing they can do? And I know that's a hard question, but just kind of a one snapshot. What's the best thing? What's the most important thing for them to do?
Do your research before you jump off the diving board. Take the time to research the market and how the market operates, and compare and to see if you have the capability, the capacity at this time to participate.
Okay, Tom, thank you so much. That was great. I'm telling everybody out there, this man has a lot of knowledge in the area of government contracting. So I would encourage you to reach out to Tom by email or, give him a call, whatever you want to do.